Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Boxing Day, and Happy New Year as well. We're here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel with me, Chris, Dr. Chris of the Radio Horror Show, right here, and Katie, the blonde in front of fear. The last movie and review of the year, but the beginning of hopefully in 2026 we'll get back to doing some exponential horror movies. This is not an exponential horror movie. In a year of I Know What You Did, because earlier this summer we had I Know What You Did Last Summer Part 4, technically Part 3 in the actual franchise, not counting the direct to DVD sequel. We got a film on Halloween of all days, but whatever. Nosferatu came out on Christmas last year, and Anaconda comes out in like 2 days on Christmas. So what do I know? But yeah, I Know What You Did Last Christmas came out on Halloween in time for the holiday season to kick off, which I guess technically once Halloween's over, it's Christmas time. Um, this was something I had heard about, and I finally tracked down and watched on Tubi. And I was like, well, I'm not going to suffer alone this holiday season. So let's see if Katie wants to suffer with I Know What You Did Last Christmas. Killer Santa Claus. Sorry, it was done better in a lot of other horror movies, specifically the remake that just came out a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Like buckle up, kids, make sure you feed those reindeers because I'm going to tell you all about the horrible horror film called I Know What You Did Last Christmas. And just be prepared. I'm going to spoil it because you know what? I saw this movie because Chris made me see it. So I saw this movie so you don't have to. You're welcome. That is my Christmas gift to you. I Know What You Did Last Christmas, directed by Gregory William Randolph Jr. and C.M. Wright, and writer C.M. Wright, stars Lauren Starrick as Cassie, Shaylee Regan as Amber, Connor Horgan as Nico, and Helen Elizabeth Baird as Jules. So the film begins with a young woman next to a tree. She is, her eyes are closed and there's some gentle snow falling on her. You then see a blonde haired woman who is running from a Santa he's in a Santa costume. He has a black plastic mask with the beard, unfortunately, like not around his face, but right below, the chin, which didn't make much sense to me, but whatever. Believe me, that's not even the dumbest thing in this film. This woman then wakes up and she's very distraught because she has had a nightmare and she gets an invitation to meet up with some friends that she has not seen in a year. She goes to this location, which is this beautiful house on this spread of land. On the phone, it says that it's 10 degrees because I checked that twice and that there's no cell reception. She is in shorts and or some little romper outfit and stuff. So I'm thinking this must be set in Australia or something like that. I don't know, wherever there would be, that it's 10 degrees and then it's supposed to be, I guess, 60 degrees there, or 65, whatever. I don't know the math. I didn't do that. But whatever, in any case, she's definitely not dressed for Midwest winter. Neither is anyone else really in this film. So it's like, okay, so this obviously is supposed to be somewhere not in the United States. And that's fine. However, we find out that all of these people, there's 8 of them that are asked to come together because a year earlier, there was a prank where a very distraught girl, which is the one that we saw, was ran out of a house, was then locked out because hypothermia and frostbite are so funny. And then she apparently died. And now all these people were responsible for that. And they've come together, and the majority of them have not seen each other since that day happened. So you would think this is a simple premise. You would think. Here's why this premise isn't that simple. So they have a flashback of when they lock said distraught girl out of the house. There's two guys, one who's very much the antagonistic, stereotypical ass and prick, named Trey. I believe his name is Trey. Yes, Trey. And he's American. And then there's the other guy named Nico, I believe, who also goes along with this, locking out this girl, Millie. Nico's girlfriend at the time is Cassie. She is there on the couch and she sees this. Kids, here's where this film goes awry. None of the five other people who were in that house were in the room, anywhere near the room. There's one guy who is asleep on a chair when they then go into another room and show everyone dancing and all that stuff. How everyone can feel like that they are responsible for this chick's demise is beyond me. Oh, but wait, here's where it gets even better. Because when they talk about this girl, Millie, they neglect to tell you until halfway through the movie. One, they keep saying that she died. Oh no, the police came, all this stuff. They neglect to tell you that they never found her body. How do we know that she died? How do we know how she died? How do we know where she is if they never found her body? And why did they need to put that in the film? You showed her in the beginning. Why couldn't you just say that it's just so stupid. It's just so unbelievably stupid that is a factor in the film. And then it gets worse. At one point, one
How
girl
much worse
who
did it
won't
get?
stop. Yeah. At one point, one girl, her name is Lila or Lila, something like that. Keep saying her name differently. She just can't stop crying when she's back in this house with everybody and all that stuff because she feels so guilty. Again, she was not there when they locked her out. Whatever. She is going down a hall and you very clearly see the antagonist. You see the person in the Sienna suit with the mask on and stuff. They cut to a different scene. They go back. Oh, that guy's gone. And then she's just walking down the hall. Also, she starts to scream. And mind you, yeah, this house is a nice size house, whatever. It's not that big that you wouldn't be able to hear blood curdling freaking screams because someone screamed before and you heard them. But I guess this time when she screamed, you can't. And then it's the whole thing that it's like they parked, but someone took their keys and they're like, okay, well, one guy's like, well, why don't we just walk to the next town? And they're like, are you crazy? Do you know how far that is? It's like, who cares? It's like 70 degrees outside. You guys are all wearing shorts and short sleeve. Why does it matter? Yeah, I will. It's
Did
just,
you
it's
love
just,
anything about this film?
did I love anything about this film? I do think that the performance by Shaylee Reagan was not bad. I thought she was the shining grace in this whole thing. Some of the I have to mention some of the practical effects were decent. The storyline I thought was just so full of holes that it's just ridiculous. It just honestly, I don't get mad. It's like if a film actually makes me mad because of how dumb and bad it is, and it's independent. Like I love independent films. I've worked on independent films. I've acted in independent films. I know the different things that can happen, but these are just such like giant mistakes to make in a film that didn't need to be. Like you could have had a better thing going on and all that stuff, but it just doesn't make any sense. It just didn't make any sense to me. And then at the end, it starts snowing. And again, if this is supposed to be, I mean, because they very much talk about how it's like set around Christmas time. Well, if this is supposed to be in Australia, it's going to be like 70, 80 degrees outside. It's not going to snow. Um, do I have anything else that's positive to say about the film? No. Very quickly, I will say that again, my Christmas gift to you is that I watch this. I've explained it to you. You do not need to watch it. Oh, there's also one other thing that happens that's really funny. One of the guys, as I said before, you don't have any cell service in this location. Then one of the guys magically gets cell service from the killer, and instead of immediately calling 911 because other people or whatever you call wherever they are, he just decides to like look at the text and all that stuff that he's getting rather than calling the authorities, which would have been the smart thing to do. This is just I had an issue with the, Hollywood new I Know What You Did Last Summer. That should be in the Criterion Collection and American Film Institute compared to this. This is, I don't want to say whoever did it shouldn't just stop making films because that's really harsh. However, I think they really need to rethink some things in the future when they're doing some films, because there's going to be people who look at continuity. There's going to be people who will look at, just rational thinking regarding films and stuff like that. Again, Shaylee Reagan, I feel like you saved this film. I really don't appreciate when they have someone who they talk about being sober and then they're there for less than an hour and they start drinking and already drunk. Why even put that in there? Why it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I know what you did last summer. I know what you did last Christmas. You'll be appreciative that I told you not to watch it. So just don't. And that's my review.
I couldn't go. I went through the director's IMDb and there was like nothing in here I have ever seen, but he comes from shorts. He comes from many, many shorts. And then he did his first film in 2025 earlier. I don't know if it's out yet. It's called A Tailor-Made Romance. It looks like a Hallmark style film. It's also on Tubi, and then he did this. So maybe this is going to be a director that shocks and awes us, and then one day he does like the remake of a classic vampire movie. He does the biopic of a woman beset by tragedy, who was a star athlete, and then goes on to make something for James Gunn in the DC universe.
Wow, that's extremely specific, Chris. Who are you talking about?
The director of Supergirl came from very small beginnings before he went on to do the remake of Fright Night, I, Tanya, and now Supergirl next summer.
I mean, the Fright Night remake is outstanding. I, Tanya is an award-winning Oscar-winning film, and yeah, I would not put him in the category as this.
Well, he's not the
So
writer of this movie, so I mean, there's also that. And sometimes, if you're looking for a paycheck to wet your resume up a little bit, I mean, I've interviewed some directors that are, like just kind of like phoning in the interview because they clearly are just handed this stuff because they're one of the studio's boys to throw projects to. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, we've got scripts galore and we've got money to burn because we're a low budget independent studio, so we just pump these things out for Tubi and streaming services, no longer discs. So here's a bone to pay your mortgage, and we'll fly you to the cheapest country possible to shoot this thing. Um,
and good for them, because I would say at least with the way people looked, I will give them that. They made everyone look the same each time they did it. So I'm hoping they only shot for a couple of days. If not, then there's a compliment. Good for you that you made everyone look exactly the same. Although there were some people who had like some light colored outfits on, and then all of a sudden they had some blood when there wasn't blood in the scene before.
I wonder if
That
this
can
is going to open up
happen.
a I wonder if this is going to open up a series of films and be like, I know what you did last Halloween. I know what you did last Mother's Day. You know what I mean? Start the Amityville just cash grab of garbage. Amityville Santa Claus, Amityville Santa Shark, and things like that. You were going to get the I know what you did last spring. I know what you did last whatever because I don't think the film studio has the copyright on Sony, I think it is, has the copyright on the words I know what you did. So as long as they don't make it the Hookman Fisherman Killer, you can do whatever you want with I know what you did.
I mean, there's plenty of, yeah,
And
holidays.
here's
I
the
know
thing,
what you did
Katie.
last Arbor Day. I know what you did last Flag Day. I
Have you
know
ever
what
read the
you
book
did.
I know what you did last summer?
No.
So in the book I know what you did last summer, it has more to do with the plot line of I Know What You Did Last Christmas than Sarah Michelle and Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love Hewitt's film from 1997. I'm not kidding. Because in the original book, they accidentally kill a boy and they cover it up. And it's not a hook and slasher fisherman kind of killer the rest of the story. You know what I mean? Their lives are not beset by tragedy. They're not stopping themselves from going to college or flunking out of classes if they're in college or things like that. Their lives are pretty normal. They're just holding on to a dark secret and someone finds out about it. And it's like the sister, I think, of the little boy who they killed. So in this, the fact that they killed a little boy, it's I think they took a premise from Lewis Duncan's famous novel, which is the reason why, by the way, she hated the movie because they just completely changed everything that she wrote about, and she wanted them to do her book, but they decided, hey, we're going to capitalize on Scream, so we have to do it this way. And I know what you did last summer. Oh, sorry, I know what you did last Christmas is capitalizing on the fact that we have the remake of the biggest well-known killer Santa Claus movie coming out, which came out a couple months later, which is A Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part Six, the remake. So I
Yeah.
think that's how it kind of ties in that way. On top of the fact the studio is not stupid, they knew the Freddie Prinze Jr. movie was coming out this past summer. So whether it was good or bad is up for debate when you finally figure out who the killer in that movie is too. Um,
Yeah, but
but
at least with all those movies, they know that someone died because they, kind of found the body. This one,
right.
I wanted it to be, yeah. I mean,
What's funny is that you
here's the
also
thing.
mentioned
Well, it's like spoiler kids, it's not Millie who is the killer in this film, which that would have been great. I would have loved that if the person who was the killer in this film was the person that they thought they killed, because it's like, hey, you guys are dicks. Thanks for leaving me out there. Guess what? Now I'm going to make sure I come after you. That would have been great. Where's that movie? Someone should have written that movie. Whoever did this one, no. I get why the one person does it. I'm kind of confused by the second person, considering that I don't know. I guess it's maybe a socio economic sort of reason why something happened. But yeah, I think if they would have had Millie be the killer, that would have been a much stronger film. But maybe that'll be in the sequel. I really doubt it. No.
oh my God, I hope there's not a sequel. Another thing that you mentioned off the air, just real quick, that I could relate to this movie is that the Until Dawn movie, as bad as it is, it's based on an actually incredibly well good video game. It stars a few people off the top of my head who I think are fantastic in it. Peter Stromberg is in the video game as well as the movie, as well as Hayden Panettiere and the one of the actors from Agents of Shield. But in that, there's a person that disappears, and it's a whole "I know what you did last summer" kind of plot line. A year or two later, but I don't want to give it away for anyone who hasn't played the game because good God, go please play the game because the game is much better than the movie. But anyway, there's a whole plot line of like a body never having been found or whatever, and it's kind of this loose end. But there's a reason for that when you play the game because you think it's a slasher stabby serial killer movie, but no, it's a mixture of April Fool's Day meets something that they don't use in a horror movie very often, and I don't want to give away what that thing is. Just play the video game. It's fantastic. For this, I would not recommend watching this as your holiday fare of horror movies. There are so many other better horror movies out there. Go watch Krampus. Go watch Black Christmas, the original. The remake is okay, but not the 2000s remake. Later 2019 remake.
Rare
But
exports. I mean, there's
yeah,
many, many like great wintertime horror films. This is not it. In fact, I do have to thank Chris because now this is by far my number one worst film of the year.
There
So,
we go. It
you know, it
got a
if it
got an
wins an
award.
award, it's that. Way to go of my films that I've watched. You got your number one of the worst. So well done.
Maybe you'll get a Razzie, or maybe you'll get a Razzie award, and it can hold that honor up. I don't even know if they do the Razzie awards anymore, but hmm. Check out the rest of the reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel with me and Katie. Look for more reviews in 2026. There's some great horror movies already coming out in January. There's a bevy of horror movies coming out in January, as it is the case. It's the dumping ground for horror movies. But honestly, these all look good. Bone Temple, Sam Raimi, Return to Horror, things like that. Can't wait. Scream in February, and more later on in 2026. So thank you, everyone. Have a Merry Christmas. Like, subscribe on this. Check out Katie over on all her social media as well as on YouTube. And look at the rest of my reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. Merry Christmas, everybody.